Okay, today we are diving into one of the most mysterious and, let's be honest, misunderstood books ever written, the Book of Revelation. You know, it's filled with all these beasts and battles and really strange numbers. But what if I told you it's not some literal script for the future, but actually a letter written in code? Well, today, we're going to crack that code.
So let's just jump right in with the big one, right? This number. It has been haunting pop culture for centuries. When you see it, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
Is it the mark of the beast? Maybe some specific evil person? Or, some kind of futuristic computer chip? That's what you see in the movies and read in the novels. But the original meaning, well, it's something else entirely. And it's all rooted in the language of symbols.
And what about this word? Armageddon. It's basically become shorthand for the end of the world, hasn't it? This huge, cataclysmic final battle that's supposed to destroy everything.
But is that really what the author was trying to say? Was he talking about a single event in our future? Or, just like 666, is it a powerful symbol with a much, much deeper meaning for the people he was actually writing to?
So here's the absolute key to understanding all of this. Revelation wasn't written for us, not directly. It was a letter of hope and a warning to Christians in the first century who were suffering under Roman persecution. The author used this coded language, a style of writing called apocalyptic literature, so he could get a powerful message across without, getting arrested. So think of this as your official decoder ring. All right, the very first step to cracking this code is to understand the language of numbers. Because in Revelation, numbers are not just about counting things. No, they're about big ideas. Each number carries its own symbolic weight, its own deeper meaning. So take the number 7. When the book talks about these 7 churches, it isn't literally just talking to 7 specific congregations. 7 represents fullness, completeness. So really, it's a message for all churches, everywhere, throughout all of time.
And it's the same thing when you hear about 1,000-year reign. It's not meant to be a literal entry on a calendar. 1,000 is just a symbolic way of saying a very large, really significant, and complete period of time. It kind of changes how you see that whole passage, doesn't it?
And what's really fascinating here is how the same idea gets expressed in all these different ways. So whether you read 1,260 days or 42 months or 3.5 years, it all points to the exact same concept, a limited but very intense period of hardship and persecution for God's people. Which, of course, brings us right back to 666. So if 7 is the number of divine completeness, of perfection, then 6 is what falls short of that. And when you triple it, 666, you get the ultimate symbol for imperfection, for failure, for evil. It's not a single person. It's a symbol for any person or any system, like the Roman Empire back then, that viciously persecutes Christians and tries to set itself up in the place of God.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap. 7 means fullness. 1,000 means a huge amount. 1,260 days means persecution. And 666 means ultimate imperfection. And a number like 144,000, well, that's just the 12 tribes of Israel squared times 1,000, a symbolic way of saying all of God's people, the complete new Israel. See? This is the foundation of the code. Okay, now that we've got the numbers down, let's meet the cast of characters. And you guessed it, just like the numbers, these aren't literal beings. They're symbolic stand-ins for huge spiritual and political forces at play.
The main villain of the story is the dragon. This is the source of all evil. He's also called the ancient serpent, or the accuser. I mean, it's a pretty clear symbol for Satan. And this is where we get to the heart of the conflict. On one side, you've got the Lion of the tribe of Judah. That's a title for the victorious, kingly Jesus. And on the other side, you have the beast, which represents the earthly power that does the dragon's dirty work. For the original audience, this was without a doubt the Roman Empire, which demanded that everyone worship the emperor. This whole struggle plays out between two symbolic groups. You've got the bride, who represents the church, faithful and in a covenant relationship with Christ. And her opposite is the harlot, who is also called Babylon. This symbolizes the corrupting influence of Rome, which used its power and wealth to seduce people into idolatry and immorality. So we have our numbers, we have our characters. Now we can start to map out the symbolic world where this epic conflict all goes down. Remember, these aren't predictions of the future. They're vivid portraits of suffering and struggle. Let's break down one of the most famous images from the entire book, the 4 horsemen. They aren't 4 separate guys, but a single vision in 4 parts of what evil really leads to: oppressive conquest, bloody warfare,
devastating famine, and widespread death. For people living under imperial rule, this would have felt incredibly real. And that brings us back to Armageddon. It is not a blueprint for future World War III. The name actually comes from a real place, Megiddo, which was the site of many decisive battles in Israel's history. So in Revelation, it becomes a symbol for the ultimate decisive confrontation where God's truth and justice finally went out over the forces of evil.
You know, every epic story builds to a grand conclusion, and Revelation's finale is packed with some of its most powerful symbols. And these are symbols of ultimate judgment, yeah, but also of incredible hope and a totally new beginning.
First up, you have the Book of Life. Now, this isn't a literal book with paper and ink. It's a really powerful symbol of divine memory and salvation. It represents the idea that those who are faithful to God are known by Him and they will be redeemed.
And the direct opposite of having your name in the Book of Life is experiencing the second death. This is the symbol for a final, eternal punishment and separation from God. So you can see the stakes in this symbolic drama are just incredibly high.
But after all the conflict, after the beasts and the judgment, the story ends with this symbol of ultimate hope, the New Jerusalem. This isn't a physical city falling out of the clouds. It's a symbol for heaven, a renewed creation, a place of perfect peace where God lives with His people and Christ has supreme authority.
And right at the heart of this new creation is the tree of life. The meaning of this symbol is summed up so perfectly here that separation from God that started way back in the Garden of Eden is finally completely undone. It's a symbol of total restoration, of healing, and of eternal life with God.
So we end on this question. If Revelation isn't a roadmap to the future, then what is it? Well, maybe it's a message of profound hope. A reminder to its first readers, and maybe to us, that even when you're facing overwhelming evil and suffering, God is in control, justice will win in the end, and the story doesn't end in death, but with the tree of life.